We live in a world where a lot of people are arguing over being correct and telling others that they are wrong, and that's saying that there's a lot of people who have a lot of ideas that could be dangerous to this world. And perhaps I'm one of those individuals that says, hey, look at these people with a dangerous worldview, but maybe we need to navigate our own worldview. Maybe we have to think about what we ourselves are thinking before we start criticizing others, because we may not be correct, and we need to be sure that our worldview is indeed correct. So let us navigate our worldview. Ask someone on the street what they think is wrong with the world today. Then get behind your mental blast shield. The torrent of answers will range from the wrong leader in power, pollution, racism, lack of faith, whatever that means, human nature, whatever that means, inflation, the market, and a million other bizarre half-baked explanations. The answer you'll be sure to never get is the beliefs that drive the behavior of the individual. Human beings are not a mindless blob that create destruction at the behest of those who control the money or because it's human nature. The destruction created on our earth is the product of independent chosen behavior. What makes the actions look like a mindless blob is the fact that beliefs can be formed, shaped, and acted on en masse. The mass of these beliefs are rooted in the minds of each one of us and forms a unique way of seeing what we call the world, people, and society. These worldviews are held often at the subconscious level and very often in stark contradiction to evidence. Worldview seems to be such a big idea that you might say that a true understanding is impossible, and yet many people maintain that their perspective is the way things are. Big ideas may seem complex, but they can fracture into big categories that are easy to understand. These categories act as a model to help us understand and interact with the seemingly complexity of life. This fracturing of worldview drives two very different types of behavior that in turn make a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. On the subject of big ideas, let's kick this worldview stuff off with a bang, a big bang. The entire universe and everything in it, including you, is a purposeless accident of physics and a great big mysterious nothing. The soul is a fiction invented by a confused biological random number generator that wants another hit of oxytocin to feel less uncomfortable about reality. Trapped on a lonely ball of dirt, the only thing to do is fight the tide of extinction with ruthless hoarding to secure a chance at survival. Well, wasn't that lovely? A random, meaningless void is a common scientific view of what some people call the way things are. The cosmic accident idea leads to a lot of destructive beliefs. The notion that everything is too complicated to understand creates a sort of give up type feeling, which is remedied by the lament that there just is no truth at all. Moral action goes out the window with it. If we all need to survive and I need to be a bad guy to do that, so be it. If someone is better than me and wins, well, that's just the way things are. They get to rule because they are more fit to survive. Locked into this fear, the overabundance of Earth gets scourged by hoarders, war, or comically, systems of sustainable management. Without such a worldview, how else could we survive? Well, here's the other worldview. Gifted with creation, we are all under God's will. Again, whatever that means, this worldview stands on the other side, and it is determinism. Nothing is accidental. The will of a power beyond all control sets up the world events and everything that happens in each person's life according to the divine plan. No matter what you do, every action is ultimately meaningless. You can never act outside the plan. Evil is destined to win, but those people will get theirs for the actions they chose. With the events all set in stone, the only thing to do is just, well, wait and pray. Determinists have all the faith in the world that they will be saved. Like a train barreling towards them in a wide open field, there seemingly is simply nothing that could be done to avoid the ultimate fate. The self-fulfilling prophecy of this worldview really does destroy the use of free will. Often, but not always, a deterministic religious mindset has the behavior of inaction. After all, why fight evil when it's all in God's hands? Perhaps rooted in confusion or self-loathing, determinists are not innovators. At least the survival of the fittest mindset spurs some creativity. The end result is an individual in a state of passivity, not even willing to try creating a world they'd like to see. So in the course of human belief, these two perspectives, this randomness perspective and this determinist perspective, the scientific versus the religious, they drive almost all of the actions of individuals. It might seem like a damned if you do, damned if you don't, meat robots programmed to destroy, or puppets of an apparently cynical creator. Makes you wonder if a middle ground even exists. That train in the open field might be useful, its tracks are determinism, the terrain an unknown, but the conductor is not a mindless machine and the tracks didn't get there on their own. See, we have the free will to lay the course we take as individuals and as a species. The terrain may determine the outcome of actions, but our actions are determined by us. It's only by standing in the middle, in honor of nature and free will, that we can stay on track. And so this is the goal. A lot of people want to point the finger, they want to take other people's ideas, but there is a freedom to be embraced. There is that inner philosopher that everybody can be. They don't have to follow one thing or think that their perspective is the all-almighty. They can always be evolving, but realize the value in having their own perspective. See, this is understanding you can have an opinion, you can have your own worldview, just don't impose it on others. This is the golden rule, basic morality. And actually this imposing on others, this, well, you can't say no to what I demand of you, this is the contradiction in morality. Because the individual who's making that claim, who says I have the right to rule over you, I have the right to do whatever I want to you, well, they wouldn't like that being done to them. They're breaking morality, they're making these contradictions, and you might be falling into their trap. This is the world we live in. It's not that we have to change the people in power, but it's that us who give them power are actually falling into a trap that we ourselves created and we feel like we need to be in. It's kind of like Stockholm syndrome, you know, we want to be in that position and we want to degrade ourselves of freedoms because we want to feel more secure and we don't want to act responsibly and take true responsibility of our own actions. So I'm going to put some questions on the screen. If you haven't seen these questions, really sit down with yourself and think about it. Okay, but you can observe also in history people who had this middle ground path. So for instance, I talk about the abolitionists in the 19th century. They were religious, but they didn't just say, well, everything is according to God's plan. They said there is an action we need to do. Slavery is wrong, and therefore we need to end it. And that's not something God can do, but if we do it, it aligns to God. So they see this intent within the universe, they see this blueprint, and they work with it with their free will, and they're creating that balance. That's at least how I see it, and you might want to provide some examples in the chat if you want. That'd be great. You know, because how can we act in a more balanced way, where we're not too left brain or right brain, masculine or feminine, right? Where we understand when to defend ourselves or, you know, when not to attack others. And this is all about a balance, a moderation, a self-control. And this is what sovereignty is. This is what self-mastery is. This is that mastery that the Tao Te Ching talks about from ancient times. And so it's so important. I wrote a book recently about Taoism. If you haven't heard of it, it's called Tao, The Full Return to Nature. Be sure to check it out. If you're new to any of these concepts or you want to give a gift this holiday season, feel free to do so. In fact, I forgot to turn on my Christmas tree over here. No, much better. Everybody have a good time out there. Be sure to enjoy life. Be happy, okay? This is what life is about. And do not impede on other people's happiness because that's the world we live in. So share this message with others. Get the world thinking. Thank you very much for watching. Go to theliberator.us. Send us your article. I'll turn it to a video for you. Take care.